While the rest of the football world was busy trying to police his behavior and debate his draft status, Shedeur Sanders was popping champagne over a massive, multi-million-dollar endorsement deal that has old-school NFL executives completely losing their minds. We're talking about an unprecedented corporate partnership, one that pays him like a top-5 veteran quarterback before he even settles into a permanent NFL starting role. The high-energy celebration video went viral in a matter of seconds, but what really has front offices sweating behind closed doors is the raw, unfiltered message it sends. Shedeur Sanders doesn't need to fit into anyone's mold because his brand generates generational wealth entirely on his own terms. To truly understand why this viral celebration sent immediate panic through corporate boardrooms from New York to league headquarters, you have to look at the rigid, unwritten rules that have governed professional football for over half a century. The traditional NFL system is designed to keep young players humble, quiet, and financially dependent on their team's goodwill. You come into the league, keep your head down, sign whatever standard rookie contract is put in front of you, and hope that after 3 or 4 years of taking brutal hits, a local sponsor offers you a modest regional ad spot. The league holds all the leverage, the owners dictate the culture, and young athletes are conditioned to behave like cogs in a massive corporate machine. But if you've followed Shedeur Sanders for 5 minutes, you already know that he and his father, Dion Coach Prime, don't play by anyone else's rulebook. They don't ask for a seat at the table, they build their own, bring their own camera crew, and force the rest of the industry to adapt. When footage hits social media showing Shedeur surrounded by his inner circle, flashing his signature ice-out watch, and celebrating a brand new multi-million-dollar corporate partnership, internet sports commentary instantly erupted into absolute madness. While traditional sports analysts were busy dissecting his draft placement and questioning whether his flashy lifestyle would alienate an NFL locker room, Shedeur was quietly finalizing contracts with global powerhouse brands. We aren't talking about local car dealerships or quick social media promos. We are talking about top-tier, multi-year equity-backed deals alongside legacy giants like Nike, Beats by Dre, Gatorade, Ralph Lauren, and luxury automotive titans. Think about the sheer audacity of what that celebration represents in the modern sports landscape. While other young quarterbacks are stressed about playbook installations, battling for roster depth, or worrying about their rookie contract scale, Shedeur is operating like a multi-million-dollar corporation on 2 legs. By securing these massive, record-breaking endorsement figures outside of his football salary, he has effectively neutralized the primary weapon NFL front offices use to control young talent. And let's be completely real with each other, that exact financial independence scares the traditional football establishment to its core. For years, anonymous scouts, traditional media pundits, and old-school executives have tried to construct a very specific narrative around Shedeur. When he was putting up absurd numbers at Jackson State, critics claimed he was only excelling because of lower-level competition. When he transferred to Colorado, stepped into the Power 4, and threw for over 3,200 yards with 27 touchdowns despite taking a beating behind a rebuilding offensive line, those same critics shifted the goalposts. They started claiming he was too Hollywood, too focused on his SS-23 apparel line, too flashy with his diamond jewelry, and far too influenced by his father's larger-than-life media empire. Every single week, an army of doubters sat back with their arms crossed, desperately waiting for him to fail on national television so they could jump on social media and yell, "See, we told you he wasn't focused on football." They wanted him to be humbled. They wanted him to drop the swagger, take off the ice, adopt a quiet, apologetic tone, and conform to the stoic corporate quarterback archetype that the league has pushed for decades. Instead of shrinking under that intense pressure, Shedeur took every piece of internet slander, every dismissive draft projection, and every passive-aggressive critique from TV analysts and converted it directly into multi-million-dollar leverage. Do you really think it's a coincidence that while anonymous scouts were complaining about his attitude, major corporate boardrooms were rolling out the red carpet and handing him blank checks? That doesn't happen by accident. That happens when an athlete understands their true cultural value and refuses to let traditional gatekeepers dictate what they are worth. When you break down the numbers and structure behind behind these modern endorsement deals, the strategy is mind-blowing. This isn't just about putting his face on a billboard or filming a quick commercial during Sunday football broadcasts. These agreements include custom lifestyle collections, international marketing rights, and co-branded media platforms that give the Sanders family direct access to global retail markets. Shedeur isn't just endorsement material, he is an anchor for corporate youth culture. He commands an audience of millions who don't just watch football, they buy the shoes he wears, wear the chains he flexes, listen to the music he plays, and mimic every move he makes. Now imagine what it feels like inside an NFL front office when video of that celebration circulates through team facilities. General managers love having total control over their players. They want young athletes who live in constant fear of losing their jobs, because a desperate player is easy to manage, easy to negotiate with, and easy to keep quiet. But how do you intimidate a young quarterback who walks into your facility earning more money from off-field enterprise than half the veteran roster combined? The entire dynamic flips instantly. You can't threaten him with media leaks, and you can't hold contract leverage over his head because his personal empire operates completely independent of an NFL paycheck. He plays the game because he loves it, because he wants to prove he is the most accurate, icy-veined passer in his class, and because he wants to win, not because he needs the money to keep his lights on. However, throwing a massive celebration after signing a record-breaking deal places an absolute high-voltage target directly on his chest. You know as well as I do how unforgiving an NFL locker room can be. Opposing defensive players don't care about his diamond watch, his clothing line, or how many millions he just landed in endorsement cash. In fact, seeing a young quarterback celebrate a fortune before proving himself over a multi-year pro career gives every veteran pass rusher in the league all the motivation they need. When he steps onto the field, defensive coordinators aren't going to play it safe. They're going to send extra blitzers off the edge, throw complex coverage disguises at him, and try to land bone-crushing hits every chance they get. Opposing linebackers will be waiting to drive him into the turf, stand over him, and mockingly tap his own wrists just to prove that corporate hype doesn't shield you from the brutal reality of professional football. Can you imagine the euphoric, immense pressure that puts on a young player's shoulders every single snap? The margin for error is essentially zero. If he throws a bad interception on a crucial third down, the media machine will jump all over him. If he takes an unnecessary sack or misses an open receiver in the red zone, the sports radio hosts and television analysts will immediately line up to scream into their microphones. They will claim that he spent all week focusing on brand launches, music videos, and party celebrations instead of studying game film and mastering blitz protections. They are salivating at the thought of watching him struggle just so they can push the narrative that off-field fame ruined his football potential. But if there is one thing Shedeur Sanders has demonstrated throughout his entire athletic life, it's that he doesn't just handle pressure, he actively feeds on it. He was raised under the brightest lights in sports history as the son of Sanders. He has lived with a microscope on his back since he was a teenager in high school. When people said he couldn't play at Jackson State, he won games and dominated. When critics said he couldn't handle the leap to Power 4 at Colorado, he set school records, completed over 69% of his passes, and consistently delivered clutch fourth-quarter drives despite taking massive physical punishment behind a struggling offensive line. The mental toughness required to operate in that environment is off the charts. Most young players would crumble under 10% of that scrutiny. They would hide behind safe public relations statements, tone down their personality, and try as hard as possible to blend into the background. But Shedeur does the exact opposite. He leans directly into the noise, embraces the spotlight, and uses the outrage of his critics as fuel to build a bigger empire. Popping champagne and celebrating another million-dollar deal isn't just about the money, it's a direct, unapologetic message to everyone who ever doubted him, saying, "You tried to limit me, but I'm operating at a level you can't even touch." This situation goes beyond one quarterback or a single endorsement contract. This is a massive watershed moment for athlete empowerment in modern sports. For generations, sports culture tried to force athletes into a tight box. Stick to sports, shut up and play, and don't worry about business until your playing days are over. Shedeur Sanders is actively shattering that outdated concept in real time. He is proving to the next generation of young athletes that you don't have to wait for the system's approval to secure your future. You can build your own brand, leverage your own likeness, control your own narrative, and walk into the professional ranks as a fully realized corporate powerhouse.
powerhouse. Think about how disruptive that is to traditionalists who want the game to remain a stoic, old-school hierarchy where young players suffer in silence and wait their turn. They hate the fact that a young athlete can command the attention of luxury brands, tech giants, and global media before winning a championship. They call it arrogant, distracted, and entitled. But is it really arrogance, or is it simply brilliant business acumen? Why should any athlete limit their financial lifetime value to a short, physically dangerous football career when they can use their platform to build multi-generational wealth right now? The tension surrounding Shedeur is reaching an absolute boiling point, and this latest celebration is the spark that lit the fuse. Moving forward, every single game he plays isn't just a football matchup, it is a direct test of his entire life philosophy. If he goes out there, dissects defenses, shows elite pocket presence, leads his team to victories, and proves he can ball at the highest level, he becomes completely untouchable. He becomes the undisputed blueprint for every superstar athlete who comes after him. Front offices will have no choice but to respect his star power, and corporate sponsors will be lining up around the block with blank checks to get a piece